Hello, my name is Ryan. I am 32 years old and work as a mechanical engineer in a private firm. My life has always been about hard work, responsibility, and dreams of a peaceful, happy family. I grew up in a middle-class family where my parents taught me the importance of love, respect, and loyalty. I always believed that if two people love each other, they should support one another through thick and thin. But life doesn't always work the way we imagine. I want to share my story, not because I am looking for sympathy, but because I know there are many people out there who might relate to my situation. When you love someone, you give your best, but sometimes, no matter how much effort you put in, it's never enough. My wife's name is Sophia. She is 28 years old and works as a fashion designer. When I first met her, she was everything I had ever wanted in a woman. Beautiful, confident, and full of life. She had an infectious smile, and her energy could light up a room. I fell in love with her deeply, believing that she was the perfect partner for me. But love can sometimes blind us from the truth. We got married after dating for 2 years. In the beginning, everything seemed perfect. We traveled together, laughed together, and made beautiful memories. I thought I had found my soulmate. But as time passed, I started seeing a different side of her, one that I never expected. Sophia was always materialistic, but I ignored it, thinking it was just her personality. She loved expensive clothes, luxury bags, and dining at fancy restaurants. I worked hard to give her the life she wanted, believing that making her happy would strengthen our relationship. But her happiness never lasted. She always compared our life to others, complaining about what we didn't have instead of appreciating what we did. Whenever we met friends or family, she would point out how others had better cars, bigger houses, or more luxurious vacations. "Ryan, look at Lisa's husband. He just bought her a diamond necklace. Why can't you do something like that?" she would say with disappointment in her voice. At first, I thought she was just being playful, but over time, her words started hurting me. No matter how much I earned, it was never enough for her. She never acknowledged my efforts. Instead, she always wanted more. Slowly, her love for me started fading. She spent more time on social media, admiring the lifestyles of influencers, and less time with me. She stopped asking about my day, stopped showing affection, and started treating me like a mere provider instead of a husband. She started coming home late, always having excuses, meetings, work events, or nights out with her friends. At first, I trusted her because I believed marriage should be built on trust. But deep inside, something felt wrong. She was always on her phone, texting someone with a smile on her face, but when I asked, she would say, "It's just a friend from work." One day, I came home early from work, excited to surprise her with dinner. I wanted to do something special for her, hoping to bring back the love we once had. But when I entered our house, I heard her voice from the bedroom. She was on the phone, laughing in a way I hadn't heard in a long time. Curious, I stood outside the door, listening. My heart sank when I heard her say, "You make me so happy. I don't know what I'd do without you." I stepped inside, and she looked at me with shock and guilt. She quickly ended the call, but it was too late. My world had already shattered. "Who was that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Just a friend," she said, avoiding my eyes. "A friend," I repeated, feeling my chest tighten. "You never talk to me like that anymore." She stayed silent, and in that moment, I knew the truth. I didn't say anything that night. I just sat alone, staring at the ceiling, wondering where I went wrong. Had I not loved her enough? Had I not given her enough? My heart ached with the realization that no matter what I did, she had already emotionally left me. Days passed, and our home became a place of silence. She barely spoke to me, and I stopped trying to reach out. I was drowning in pain, but she seemed unaffected. One evening, I finally gathered the courage to confront her. "Sophia, do you even love me anymore?" I asked, my voice shaking. She sighed, looking annoyed rather than guilty. "Ryan, I don't know. Maybe we just got married too soon. Maybe we've grown apart. Or maybe you found someone else," I said, my voice firm. She didn't deny it. That silence was louder than any confession. I wanted to scream, to break something, to demand an explanation. But what was the point? She had already moved on emotionally, even if she was still in our house. I spent nights lying awake, wondering why she changed. Was it my fault? Could I have done something differently? But deep inside, I knew the answer. It wasn't about me. It was about her. Some people never know how to appreciate what they have until it's gone. Despite everything, I still loved her. That was the hardest part. Love doesn't disappear overnight, even when trust is broken. But I knew I couldn't live like this forever. One day, I came home to find a note on the table. "Ryan, I think it's best if we take some time apart. I need to figure out what I really want in life. I hope you understand." She left, just like that. No proper goodbye, no effort to fix things. Just a note. I sat there staring at the empty space where she used to be. My heart felt heavy, but at the same time, there was a strange sense of relief. She was gone. The woman I once loved, the woman I gave everything to, had chosen to walk away. I didn't chase her. I didn't beg her to stay. I had done enough. In the following weeks, I slowly started rebuilding myself. I focused on my work, spent time with family, and reconnected with old friends. I realized that love should never feel like a burden, and a partner should never make you feel like you're not enough. One day, months later, I received a message from Sophia. "Can we talk?" I stared at my phone, feeling a mixture of emotions. Did she regret leaving? Did she finally realize what she had lost? I thought about it for a long time. Then I typed my response. "There's nothing left to talk about. I've moved on. I hope you find what you're looking for." And with that, I let her go. Completely. Because sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away from someone who never saw your worth. Fingers traced the glass as he looked at their smiling faces. Him in a classic black tuxedo, Sophia in a breathtaking white gown, eyes filled with love and promise. That moment felt like a lifetime ago. Now, all he could feel was the weight of disappointment and regret. Their love story had started like a dream. He met Sophia at a friend's wedding, where she was the most beautiful woman in the room, graceful, confident, and full of life. She had a way of making him feel special, as if he were the only man in the world. It didn't take long before they were inseparable. Ryan poured his heart into their relationship, showering her with love, surprises, and care. He wanted to build a future with her, to give her the kind of love he had always dreamed of. And for a while, he thought she felt the same way. But after marriage, things changed. At first, it was subtle, the small arguments, the cold responses, the way she seemed more interested in shopping and social media than in spending time with him. Then, it became impossible to ignore. Sophia was never satisfied. She criticized everything: his job, his habits, even the way he spoke. She demanded luxury, expensive vacations, and branded clothes, but she never contributed financially or emotionally. Ryan tried to reason with her, to communicate, to be patient. He blamed himself, thinking maybe he wasn't doing enough. But the truth was, nothing would ever be enough for Sophia. She insulted his family, refused to visit his parents, and made him choose between her and his loved ones. Slowly, Ryan found himself isolated. His friends noticed the change in him, the way his eyes lost their spark, the way he withdrew from conversations. But he still held on, hoping Sophia would see his efforts. One night, after another explosive fight over something trivial, his decision to buy a simple dinner instead of the expensive sushi she wanted, Ryan finally broke. He looked at her, really looked at her, and realized he didn't recognize the woman standing before him. "Do you even love me anymore?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sophia scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Love? Ryan, love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't give me the lifestyle I deserve." That night, Ryan slept on the couch, feeling like a stranger in his own home. The next morning, he packed a bag and left. Between the urge to ignore it and the temptation to answer. His fingers hovered over the decline button, but before he could press it, his own weakness betrayed him. He picked up. "Ryan." Her voice came through, soft, almost fragile. The same voice that once made his heart race, but now felt like a carefully practiced trick. He closed his eyes. "What do you want, Sophia?" His voice was cold, distant. There was a pause, then a sigh. "Can we talk?" Ryan let out a bitter chuckle. "Talk? After everything? What's left to say?" "Please. Just once. I—" She hesitated, and for the first time she didn't sound like the arrogant, self-centered woman he had come to know. "I know I made mistakes." Ryan clenched his jaw. Mistakes. That word felt too small for the years of emotional torment, the loneliness, the nights he spent questioning his own worth. But against his better judgment, he found himself saying, "Where?" 2 days later, they met at a quiet cafe. The place was small, intimate, a strange contrast to the grand restaurants Sophia always preferred. She arrived looking effortlessly beautiful, long wavy hair, flawless makeup, a designer handbag resting on the chair beside her. She still looked like the woman he had fallen for, but Ryan reminded himself that looks could be deceiving. She stirred her coffee, her hands unusually fidgety. "You look different," she said finally. "You mean happier?" Ryan asked, leaning back in his chair. Sophia flinched slightly but forced a smile. Maybe. I don't know. She paused, took a deep breath. Ryan, I want to fix things. Ryan folded his arms. Fix things? You mean go back to the way they were? No, she shook her head. I mean, I want another chance. I miss you. Ryan felt something inside him tighten. Did she really miss him? Or did she miss the stability, the security he provided? Sophia, he said, voice calm but firm, do you miss me, or do you miss the life I gave you? She blinked, caught off guard. That's not fair. No? Ryan exhaled, rubbing his temples. You made me feel like I was never enough. No matter how much I gave, no matter how much I loved you, it was never enough. And now that I've finally started to rebuild myself, now you want me back? Sophia's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I was selfish, Ryan. I took you for granted, but I swear I've changed. Ryan studied her face. Could people really change? Or was this just another performance? You know what hurts the most? He asked, leaning forward. I wanted to be your partner, your equal. I wanted love, not just to be your provider. But you never saw me that way, did you? Sophia swallowed hard. I didn't realize what I had until I lost you. Ryan's heart ached, but he had learned his lesson. Love wasn't about words, it was about actions. He nodded slowly, taking one last sip of his coffee before standing up. I hope you find happiness, Sophia, but I don't think I'm the person who can give it to you anymore. And with that, he walked away, feeling lighter than he had in years. Ryan stepped out of the cafe and into the crisp evening air. His heart was pounding, not with regret, but with an odd sense of finality. For years, he had carried the weight of his failed marriage, questioning if he had done enough, if he could have saved it. But now, standing under the dim streetlights, he realized something important. Some things are not meant to be saved. As he walked toward his car, his phone vibrated. Sophia again. He hesitated, then pressed ignore. Not this time. He had spent too many nights waiting for her to be someone she never was. For the first time in years, Ryan felt free. A look back at the past. That night, as he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, memories flooded his mind. The good and the bad. He remembered the way he and Sophia met. It was like a fairy tale. She had been sitting alone at a friend's party, wearing a red dress, her laughter soft and enchanting. He had been drawn to her instantly. I think red might be your color, he had told her that night, making her laugh. From that moment on, he had believed she was the one. Their early days were beautiful, late-night drives, deep conversations, lazy Sundays spent watching movies. She had made him feel alive. But love, he had learned, is not measured in how beautiful the beginning is. It's measured in how strong it stands when things get tough. And when things got tough, Sophia had given up on him. It started subtly. The complaints about his job, how he worked too much, how he didn't make enough, despite providing her with everything she wanted. The constant comparison to her friends' husbands, who bought their wives extravagant gifts and took them on luxurious vacations. Ryan had tried to keep up. He worked longer hours, saved every penny, and even took a loan to take her on a trip to Paris because she had mentioned once that she deserved it. But it was never enough. Then came the coldness, the late-night arguments, the silent treatment. Ryan had spent years trying to understand why. Was he not affectionate enough? Not ambitious enough? Not rich enough? But now, he realized, it wasn't about him at all. Sophia had been chasing an illusion, a life where love was secondary to luxury. And Ryan? He had just been a stepping stone in that pursuit, the breaking point. The night he finally walked away was still fresh in his mind. It had been their anniversary. He had come home early, carrying flowers and a small box containing a necklace he had saved for months to buy. But Sophia wasn't home. Her phone had gone straight to voicemail, and a feeling of unease had settled in his gut. Then, at midnight, she walked in, drunk, laughing, with a male colleague's jacket draped over her shoulders. Ryan had felt something inside him snap. That night, he realized the love he had been fighting for was already gone. "I can't do this anymore," he had said quietly. Sophia had looked at him, annoyed. "Ryan, stop being so dramatic. It was just a party." "A party?" He had laughed bitterly. "Sophia, when was the last time we spent a night together like this? When was the last time you even looked at me the way you look at—" He had stopped himself, shaking his head. She had rolled her eyes. "You're overreacting." That was when he knew. She didn't care. She hadn't cared for a long time. The next day, he had packed his bags and left. Moving on months had passed since that night, and Ryan had worked hard to rebuild himself. He started focusing on his own happiness, traveling, going to the gym, reconnecting with old friends. He even got promoted at work, something he hadn't been able to focus on during his marriage. For a long time, he had believed that he had failed as a husband, but now he understood the truth. He had only failed at loving someone who never truly loved him back, and that wasn't his failure. It was hers. Sophia's regret. A few weeks after their cafe meeting, Ryan received a message from her. "Sophia, I miss you, Ryan. Can we talk?" He stared at the screen. A part of him wanted to respond, to ask if she had really changed, if she had realized what she lost. But then another part of him, the stronger part, knew the answer. Ryan deleted the message. He had spent years waiting for Sophia to love him. Now, he had finally learned to love himself, and that was enough. A new beginning days turned into weeks, and Ryan continued living his life, free from the burden of his past. He focused on himself, his career, his health, his peace. But something strange happened along the way. For the first time in years, he was happy. He didn't wake up with a heavy heart anymore. He didn't spend hours overthinking, trying to figure out what he could have done differently. The guilt, the pain, the self-blame, all of it had finally faded. One evening, while sitting on his apartment balcony, sipping coffee, he thought about something his best friend, Jake, had told him months ago. "You know what your problem is, Ryan? You're too afraid to let go of the past. You keep looking at a burned-down house wondering if you could have saved it. But sometimes, man, you just gotta walk away and build a new one." Ryan had laughed at the time, dismissing it as typical Jake wisdom, but now it made sense. He was finally ready to build something new. An unexpected encounter. It happened on a random Saturday morning. Ryan had gone to a bookstore, something he hadn't done in years. He used to love reading, but during his marriage he had lost the habit. Sophia never understood why he enjoyed books, calling it a waste of time. As he wandered through the aisles, his eyes landed on a woman sitting on the floor, flipping through the pages of a novel. She had long, wavy brown hair, and she was so lost in her book that she didn't notice him staring. There was something effortlessly beautiful about her. After a moment, she looked up and caught his gaze. A soft smile formed on her lips. "Found something interesting?" she asked, tilting her head. Ryan blinked, realizing he had been staring for too long. He chuckled. Yeah, just not in a book." She raised an eyebrow, amused. "Smooth. Do you use that line often?" "First time, actually," Ryan admitted with a grin. She extended her hand. "I'm Emily." "Ryan," he said, shaking her hand. From that moment, something shifted in him. Learning to love. Again. Emily was different from Sophia in every way. Where Sophia was cold and dismissive, Emily was warm and kind. Where Sophia only cared about material things, Emily appreciated the simple joys in life. She loved books, deep conversations, long walks, and laughing at the little things. For the first time in years, Ryan found himself opening up, sharing his thoughts, his dreams, his past. And for the first time, someone truly listened. "You know," Emily said one evening as they sat by the lake watching the sunset, "you talk about your past as if it defines you. But it doesn't, Ryan. The things that happen to you, they aren't who you are. You're more than what you've been through." Ryan stared at her, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Sophia's last attempt. Just as Ryan was embracing his new life, Sophia returned. She showed up at his apartment, eyes filled with unshed tears. "Ryan, please, just hear me out." For a moment, old memories resurfaced, the good times, the love he once had for her. But then he remembered the pain. He took a deep breath. "Sophia, what do you want?" "I made a mistake," she whispered. "I didn't appreciate you. I took you for granted. But I've changed, Ryan. I swear I have." Ryan studied her. The old him, the desperate, heartbroken man, would have jumped at this moment. But now he just felt nothing. "I used to think that if you ever came back, it would mean something," he said calmly. "But the truth is, Sophia, I don't need closure from you. I already gave it to myself." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "So that's it? You're just going to walk away?" Ryan sighed. "No, Sophia. You walked away a long time ago. I'm just finally moving on." With that, he closed the door. For good. True love finds you when you're ready. Months passed and Ryan's life continued to grow in ways he never imagined. His heart healed, his mind became lighter, and through it all, Emily was there. Not as a replacement for his past, but as a reminder that love, The real kind is gentle, kind, and patient. One evening, as they sat on the same balcony where Ryan once felt lost, Emily turned to him with a soft smile. "You seem happy," she said. Ryan looked at her, the woman who had unknowingly helped him heal. He reached for her hand and squeezed it. "For the first time in a long time, I really am." And this time, he knew it was true. The lesson of love. Ryan's journey wasn't just about losing a wife. It was about finding himself. Some love stories end, but sometimes endings lead to new beginnings. And this time, Ryan knew. This was the beginning of something real. A future worth embracing. Ryan's days felt lighter, as if the weight he had carried for years had finally lifted. He wasn't just moving on, he was moving forward. His work was going well. For the first time in years, he wasn't using his job as an escape from his problems. He actually enjoyed it again. He had started traveling, exploring places he once put off visiting. He reconnected with old friends, mended broken family ties, and most importantly, he learned to love himself. But one thing remained constant: Emily. She was there, effortlessly fitting into his life like she had always belonged. They hadn't labeled their relationship, but deep down, Ryan knew she was special. A love that felt different. One evening, Ryan and Emily were out for dinner at a small, cozy restaurant. The soft glow of candles flickered between them as laughter filled the air. "You know what's funny?" Emily said, swirling her glass of wine. "When we first met, I could tell you were guarded." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Guarded?" She nodded. "Like someone who had been hurt before, someone who had loved too deeply and lost themselves in the process." Ryan let out a small laugh. "You weren't wrong." Emily leaned forward slightly. "And now?" He took a deep breath, his eyes meeting hers. "Now I know what love should feel like." "And what's that?" she asked softly. Ryan reached across the table, gently taking her hand in his. "Love shouldn't make you feel like you're drowning. It should feel like breathing, easy, natural, like this." A warm smile spread across Emily's lips, and for the first time in a long time, Ryan felt whole. The ghost of the past. One afternoon, Ryan was at a cafe near his office going through emails when a voice he never thought he'd hear again called his name. "Ryan?" His body tensed. He turned around and there she was, Sophia. She looked different. Her hair was shorter, and there was something in her eyes that hadn't been there before. Regret. "Can I sit?" she asked hesitantly. Ryan exhaled and nodded. "Sure." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was just empty. "I heard about you and Emily," Sophia finally said. "Jake told me." Ryan gave a small nod. "Yeah." "You look happy," she said softly. "I am." Sophia lowered her gaze, playing with the ring on her finger. "I wanted to tell you something," she whispered. Ryan waited. "I used to think you were the problem," she admitted. "That you weren't doing enough. That I deserved more. But the truth is, I didn't know what love was. I only knew how to take, not give. And when you left, I realized..." She swallowed hard. I was the one who lost everything. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. Sophia, we can't change the past. We made our choices. She nodded, blinking back tears. I just needed to say it. I needed you to know that. I'm sorry. For the first time, Ryan saw Sophia not as the woman who broke him, but as someone who was just as lost as he once was. And surprisingly, he felt no anger. He wasn't bitter. He didn't want revenge. He didn't want her to suffer. He had already won, because he was free. You're going to be okay, Ryan told her gently. Sophia smiled sadly. I hope so. She stood up, hesitated for a second, then whispered, Goodbye, Ryan. And just like that, the ghost of his past walked away, this time for good. Love that stays that night, Ryan told Emily about the encounter. How do you feel? She asked, curling up next to him on the couch. Ryan exhaled. Relieved.